Hi, Year 9. So today we're going to be looking at Pythagoras theorem problems. So problem number 1, find the value of y as a surd. So we're going to use Pythagoras' theorem. Again, that's c squared equals a squared plus b squared, where c is 28, and then a is equal to y, and then b is equal to 12. Then we want to subtract 12 squared from both sides to solve for y. And we're left with y squared equals 28 squared minus 12 squared, which equals 640. Again, obviously I'm just working that out off the top of my head. And then because we want y not y squared, we take the square root of both sides. So then we're left with y is equal to 640. Problem 2, a ship sails south 80 kilometres and then 45 kilometres east. How far is the ship from the starting point? So here is the start, travels 80 kilometres south, then 45 kilometres east. And this distance here is how far away it is from the start. And I've just called it x. So again, we're going to want to use Pythagoras' theorem, which is c squared equals a squared plus b squared, where c is equal to x. So x squared equals, remember it doesn't matter which is a or b. So we've got 80 kilometres squared plus 45 kilometres squared. Together, that creates 8,425, and that's x squared. But we don't want x squared, we want x. So remember, we take the square root of both sides, if that helps you. And the square root of 8,425 is obviously 91.7877 ... And because we want it to one decimal place, we're going to round it to 91.8 kilometres. Perfect. All right, last one. Find the value of y correct to 2 decimal places. So before we can find this value y, notice that both of these are right angles. So if we find this length BD, that will help us then find y. So using Pythagoras' theorem, in our triangle, we'll call it BDA. So in our triangle BDA, we want our c squared equals a squared. Actually, we won't call them c and a. We'll just go straight into our substitution because there's already a, b's, and c's. We might get confused. So c squared is our first part. Remember, that is going to be this length here, so our hypotenuse of this triangle. So let's call it BD squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. So they're just our two other sides. So 15 squared plus 13 squared. And that is equal to 394. But that's BD squared. We just want BD. So we take the square root of 394. Now, because that won't give us a whole number, because it's a surd, we're actually going to keep it at that length because it's the most exact form. So this length here now is 394. Now we can have a look in our triangle. Now we've got BDC. Okay, that's the triangle we're talking about. BDC. We want to find this length here. So again, we go through the same process. This BC length is y. Okay, so we can just call it y squared equals, remember it's just the other two sides squared. So the square root of 394 all squared plus 12 squared. Now remember, well, you can put this into your calculator anyhow, but remember that this is just 394 because it's just the same surd multiplied by itself. Together, that makes 538. And then, because we want y, we take the square root of both sides. And putting this into your calculator, you will get 23.1948 ... which is approximately, correct to 2 decimal places, 23.19 units. And that is all. Good luck with your homework questions.